What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Front Range Aquascapes. Today we're going to be doing something about what was my quick and easy plant storage. Well, I've been raiding it for other tanks, taking plants out of it, just throwing new cuttings in there, just floating. Like, I really haven't been giving it the attention that it needs. As you can see, it's infested with pearlweed. It's just not a good look. See, it's just got plants floating in it, plants that are still in the pot. We're going to take care of this today. So, when I first set this tank up, it was dubbed the fast food Dutch aquarium. So I figured, why not just go ahead and make it a Dutch style tank? Like, it's probably still not going to go directly by the rules, but it will be a Dutch style tank. And I'm going to have the tank dimensions are 16 inches by 8 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and basically break it up into 8 4x4 plots. And you can see my amazing artistic abilities here, of how I want to have it all set up. But I've made changes. Because in the front now, instead of having the Scarlet Temple up front, I'm going to go Pearlweed, Stargene Repens. Then I'm going to go with, I believe it is Dwarf Chainsword. It might be Dwarf Sag. I can't tell those two plants apart. They look damn near identical. I'm sorry. But then I'm going to go Crypticorn. Then in the back row, I'm going to go with Bacopa Moneri, Scarlet Temple. No. Bacopa Moneri, Rotala Vietnam, Scarlet Temple, and then Ludwigia Dark Red. So that's going to be the setup. I am going to be running DIY CO2 on it 24/7. I haven't figured out stocking, but it's a 5-gallon tank, so it's probably going to be shrimp. Once I get it planted and it grows in, then I'll figure out what livestock I'm going to put in it. But like I said, it's probably going to be some cherry shrimp, maybe some blue dreams, maybe a blue dream or something like that, or maybe the orange ones, like, what are they called, the orange velvet or whatever. I don't know, we'll see, but it's probably going to be a shrimp and snail tank, just because, like I said, it's a 5-gallon tank. It's not big enough for any real livestock. Like, I would not feel comfortable putting a fish in there other than a betta. And unpopular opinion, I'm not a big betta fan. Like, they're beautiful fish. I don't know. I used to be into bettas, but I've just kind of moved on. Maybe one of these days I will do a betta tank. I think that maybe like a heated Wallstad with a single betta would be cool. But yeah, I don't want a betta in a Dutch tank. Not only that, but a betta wouldn't be happy in a Dutch tank. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a low dollar high tech tank, maybe. I wouldn't even call it that, because it's got an absolutely craptastic light on it right now. It'll grow plants, but it's not the rendering that I would like, or honestly even the wattage that I would like. But it will grow plants decently. Eventually I'm probably going to be throwing a better light on it. So far I'm really happy with the Ciora light that I did a review of. I'm going to get you guys set up. We're going to do a cleanup of this tank. I'm going to drain it completely out, pull all of the substrate out of it, rinse the hell out of the substrate in dechlorinated water. But like I said, I'm trying to get all of the duckweed out of this tank because I hate duckweed. And currently I have one tank in the entire house that doesn't have duckweed. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through and, like I said, get rid of a lot of this duckweed. I'm going to pull this elephant ear out of here. I don't know where it's going to go, but its roots are going to have to be washed because they're covered in duckweed. But for right now, I'm just going to sit it. I'll throw it in that bucket of water. And then this is the cheap ass light that is on it currently. It is just a cheap Marine Land. It's got 6 white lights. It had 3 blue lights, but they're burnt out or something. I don't know. It's a cheap light. I got it for free. It will grow plants, but it's not the best. But I'll make it work until I can afford something better. There is a lid on this tank, but I'm taking it off. I think that I'll have better light without this. Alright, so I do have a bunch of plants that are just floating in here, like I said. Some of them I'm going to end up keeping, and I'll be honest, some of them I'm probably going to end up throwing away. But we'll figure that out later. I got a bunch of the duckweed out. Did I get it all out? No. I got most of it out. Enough that I can go ahead and start pulling plants out now. Like my bucket of crip. And make sure there's no duckweed stragglers. I have a single stalk of Ludwigia dark red that will be going in and hopefully propagating like hell because I really want this plant. We are back. I've got the tank all cleaned out. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And just like I just found right here, I'm sure there will be more duckweed that pops up its ugly little head, but I'm hoping that it's small enough numbers that I can find it, I can kill it, I can get rid of it in this tank. Alright, so the first thing we are going to do is we're actually going to put a background on this tank. And I'm just going to be piecing one together because I've been putting frosted backgrounds on some of my tanks, and I've got some leftover pieces that I'm going to use on this tank here. it perfect? No. Is it good enough? Maybe. All right. Actually, yeah, I think that's going to be nice. So, we're going to go ahead and put substrate back in here, but before we do, I'm going to add my little bag of magic. And all my little bag of magic is a couple of root tabs that have been crushed up that I can just sprinkle in to boost the substrate. Since again, this is going to be a Dutch tank, like I said, it is going to be a Dutch tank. It's going to be pretty heavily planted and will only be getting heavier planted as things grow and I can go ahead and propagate things. So there's 2 Flourish, Seachem Flourish root tabs that I just crushed up and threw in there. And now we're going to go ahead and start putting substrate back in. All right, and for the planting that I think I'm going to be doing, I believe this is going to be fun. Now I'm going to go ahead and start putting in the equipment. So we're going to put the heater back here, just off the bottom of the tank. And then, like I said earlier, I'm going to be using just a little water fountain pump that's submersible. And we're going to have that cranked at its lowest setting. And we're just going to put it right here in the corner so that there is some circulation in the tank. All right. And now it's time to get busy planting. But before I can get busy planting, I've got to get plants ready. So we're going to go ahead and get started with planting. The first thing I'm going to put in is going to be the first plant. And that's going to be right over here in this corner. And we're going to start out with pearlweed. And it may not look like I'm starting out with a whole lot of pearlweed, but as I have found out in other tanks, this shit just takes off like wildfire. Pearlweed planted, and now we're going to go in with some sturgeon repens right next to it. Okay, so I've got the entire front row planted now. And I'm just going to give it a spray down. Okay, now some of the back section is really going to look pretty bare because, like I said, I've got some pretty sad looking Rotala Vietnam. I've got some pretty sad looking, I've got one sad looking Ludwigia Dark Red. But we're going to see what we can do. And I think I'm going to add some plants in that I didn't talk about, but I'm going to do it anyway. So the first thing that we're going to do is over here in the corner where I said the Ludwigia Dark Red is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and put an Echidodorus ocelot in that corner first. I know that technically that plant is too big for this tank, but I can move it to another tank. And we're going to go ahead and put the single stem of Ludwigia Dark Red in here and hope that it bounces back and propagates so that I can get more from that piece. And right next to that, we're going to go ahead and start going in with our Scarlet Temple. There we are, we're completely planted. Like I said, the planting is going to be a little sparse to begin with, but it will all grow in pretty dang quickly. Alright, so I've got a piece of bubble wrap down to hopefully avoid screwing everything up. There we go, and I'm already seeing some duckweed rear its ugly head. They got trapped under the rim of the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get that out of there and pull my piece of plastic out. Alright, so I don't have a whole lot of floating plants. That's good. I saw that there was one piece of Sterigine repens that was floating around. So I'll go ahead and get that replanted. I'm going to go ahead and get the heater, the pump, and the CO2 put on it. And we'll see where it goes from there. And this is about 3 days in. I just had to replant a Sterigine repens that decided to unroot itself, and that's why there are roots floating around. But I am starting to see a bunch of new growth on pretty much everything. I'm happiest that I am seeing new growth on the Rotala Vietnam on at least 2 stems. But yeah, that's a couple of days in. I do have the homemade CO2 over here, and what I'm doing is every couple of hours I just come in and shake it up because I have no livestock in here. So I'm just giving it as much CO2 as I can, trying to get just as much growth out of the plants as I possibly can. That way I can, trim, replant, really get that Dutch theme going just as quickly as I can, and then I'll worry about introducing livestock. But I want to get this tank grown in before I worry about adding anything other than the one snail that might be in there. But we'll keep checking in on it as it progresses. So, an update on the Dutch tank. As you can see, there's a change, and that change is that the Rotala Vietnam did not make it, unfortunately. It all melted away into mush. So what I did was I went ahead and put water wisteria in its place. The Bacopa seems to be doing pretty good. There's new growth on it. There's new growth on the Staragine repens. Lots of new growth on the pearlweed. The Echinodorus ocelot, melted a little bit, and so did the Ludwigia dark red. But the Ludwigia dark red looks to be growing new leaves, so that's good. The Scarlet Temple is still doing really good and is starting to turn really, really red again. Chain Swords are doing good, as are the Crypts. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and plant in a little bit more of the pearlweed to try to get this to carpet faster. It's been about a week. We're going to do some trimming on it as promised. Everything is growing really, really well. It's been just about a week since our last update on the Dutch tank, and I've gone ahead and trimmed the pearlweed, and then I went ahead and made a few changes. Change number one is going to be the fact that I got rid of the circulation pump that was in here, and I went ahead and replaced it with an actual intake filter that has foam, and then it came with some little bio ball media, but I went ahead and put some Fluval ceramic rings in there as well. And it also has a spray bar back here in the back to give me some flow in the tank as well as some filtration. Then the other change that I made is, if you see, I went ahead and added some Ludwigia Super Red as well as the Ludwigia Dark Red that I already had back there. I believe that this is pretty much how this tank is going to be. I do want to grow in some more of the Bacopa Monari over in the back right corner. But let's just go ahead and do a plant breakdown starting in the front left corner. Over here, we have the pearlweed. Then next to it, we've got the Starogine repens, which is really starting to carpet in nicely. This one, I kind of wish that I had planted reverse, but we've got the dwarf sag growing here, and then we've got the cryptocorn Wintii, and I believe that is the bronze. Then behind the crypt, we have our Bacopa Minari, which I wish I hadn't have trimmed, but it is starting to grow back, so that's fine. It will grow back, and it'll grow big and tall so that I can trim it and replant it. Then we've got the water wisteria. Then we have Scarlet Temple, and there is also some Rotala H-Raw that is thrown in there or mixed in there on accident. Then we've got the Ludwigia Dark Red and the Ludwigia Super Red. And then we finally have a lone little Echinodorus Ocelot sitting over in the corner. But I think that I have let this tank grow in long enough that I can go ahead and actually put it out on video. I'm still not 100% sure what the stocking is going to be for this tank. Being it's only a 5-gallon, I know that it's probably going to be Neocardina shrimp. If you have any suggestions as to what color scheme of shrimp I should go for, I do want to keep it just a single color scheme. That way I can breed and I don't end up with the wild type or anything. But that's going to do it for this episode of Front Range Aquascapes. If you stuck around this long, if you got something out of this video, do me a favor and consider leaving a like. Go ahead and consider hitting the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think that I should stock in here. Once again, thank you for watching Front Range Aquascapes. Don't forget to get them wet, get your hands in the tank. Till next time.